And again.
Community Heart Media. Your voice, your heart, your opportunity. Welcome to tonight's show.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, we're on again. It's Community Heart Radio. Good evening, everybody. It's Christmas time on Community Heart. Aren't we happy we've got Christmas? I tell you, it's a Christmas show, and we've got a great guest tonight. Just the Christmas spirit. Unfortunately, we've had technology problems all through December, and we didn't want to leave that, so we're going to keep them going until Christmas, our technology problems. But Julio, given you're in charge of technology, how are you feeling on Christmas?
I'm feeling good, just a bit worried about Kelly. She's a bit pixelated, and oh, there she goes. And so I think her line is a bit all over the place, but we'll soon fix that and see how we get going with the rest of the show.
It's great. It's great being on the show. And Scotty, great to have you on the show too, mate.
It's great to be back. Thanks, Julio. Thanks, Mark.
And
thanks to Kelly when she comes back too.
Yeah, that's right, mate. And but it's good to have you here, buddy. Scott Hawkins and Kelly's coming back again, so that's good. It's good to see Kelly here on Christmas. Kelly, are you with us?
I am with you. We need to. Our top priority, I think, for the new year is our technology problems we've been having for the last few weeks.
Okay, let me just check a couple things with you, Kelly. Have you turned on? You plugged yourself in. Have you turned on the volume for the studio on that one on your left, and then have you turned on your microphone on the right? That'd be just a little microphone in the studio there, and also the button that connects you to the station.
Oh,
and she's gone.
And off she goes again.
Well, we know what we're going to give Kelly for Christmas, Julio.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Internet, and I don't know what else we're going to give her, but here we are, Community Heart Radio. It's going to be a great day. And look, we want to hear your Christmas messages. Even if you just want to wish Julio a happy Christmas, make sure you put something in the chat tonight, because we want to hear from you. We want to wish you a happy Christmas and Merry Christmas, and we'd love to hear from you too. Scotty, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself? And while you do that, I'm just going to go rescue Kelly, and we'll see how we go, all right?
Okay.
Sure. Thanks to the now absent Mark and Kelly. I'm Scott, and I get the privilege of leading a community of people in Ringwood, in the outer east of Melbourne, and it's just a great privilege and a lot of fun to be a church minister, to be a community service coordinator, to help oversee some overseas aid and development work, to help coordinate social enterprise and a whole bunch of other things that go on in our community, which is a real privilege and a great joy of mine, and especially at Christmas time too.
That's a bit of a mouthful. Let's start off with how you started this journey of yours.
I think I always wanted to be in the people helping industry, but my dilemma was when I was at uni, what I was really good at was physics. So I studied a Bachelor of Applied Science in Applied Physics, and then towards the end of that degree, when all of my friends were getting jobs, they were getting jobs at weapons research. They were going to do other. We were particularly focused on nuclear physics, and a lot of the jobs were with submarines that were happening and things like that. And I didn't want to be building nuclear weapons and nuclear submarines, and so I got out of that and started doing social work, and then did a theology degree and became an overseas aid and development worker and a church pastor. So that was a bit of an about turn.
Wow, that's a big change from things to people. That's massive.
Yeah, I think that's what I really discovered. Even in the part-time jobs I had as a kid, was what I really enjoyed doing was working with people, caring for, engaging with, helping to curate environments of support for all kinds of different people.
Right.
Well, that's good, Scotty, and
Welcome
I love connecting
Yeah.
with you, mate, at a people level, and hope we can all hear each other now. We're coming through on 98.9 Northwest FM, and we're coming through on Facebook page. And Julio, given you're in charge of the technology here at Christmas, hope you're feeling that that's all sounding really good.
At the moment, yes, I'm still worried about Kelly. She seems to be frozen there in time. Oh, she comes back. That's good. And we've got Kelly back here.
It's good,
So-
mate. So, Scotty, you've had a lot of history, mate, and involved in a lot of things.
And you just say it. Is that a nice way of saying you're really old, Scott? You've got a lot of history.
Well, I tell you what, it's
You're
Well,
an
we've all
old
got a bit of
man.
history
Look
here.
at the size of his beard, and it's all grey. He's just old. He's as old as Santa Claus.
Well, I was surprised you didn't come as Santa, mate, and I'm surprised I didn't grab my Santa hat as well. But given it's Christmas, so what are you doing on Christmas Day, Scotty? What does Christmas Day look for you?
Yeah, Christmas Day has been has evolved as well. From when I was a kid, I would wake up early in the morning to see what had happened. I think fairly early on I'd worked out the whole Santa deal, but there were still presents and it was still exciting, and I would wake up and start and just check out the wrapped presents to try and predict what they might be, and wait for the moment when Mum and Dad would eventually get up and we could start getting into it. And yeah, that was they were fun times, those early Christmases, and then I think it developed more into, as I grew up, just crazy travel. Family that lived all over the place, so it was about traveling here and traveling there and getting to as many family deals as you could. And then I got then I got married, and I had my partner's family are in Melbourne and I lived in Adelaide. And Christmas we tried to see everyone. So even on one Christmas Day, we had breakfast and brunch with two sides of the family in Adelaide, and then drove across to Melbourne to have dinner and then supper with two other sides of the family in Melbourne. It just became bonkers. It was just too crazy.
It sounds
These
pretty
days
fun
it's
to me, though,
different.
Scott.
We've got our own family now, and it's an extended and bit of a crazy Brady Bunch style family, and it's wonderful and good, but lots going on, and so we've developed our own rhythms as a family too, and they're fun. But then also we do a bunch of community stuff on Christmas Day as well, which is also something that we really dig. It's just a lot of fun, and a great way of being able to connect with people on a day where lots of people in the community are reminded about how lonely they are. If we can bring some light and some life and some fun and some joy into that day for them, then I think we've done something positive.
So, Scotty,
Yeah.
just sort of run us
100%
through the sort of things that you're doing for others on Christmas Day, and I still haven't worked out what you're actually doing, mate. What's going on for you? Is it turkey, chicken, fish? What's actually we eating? Because food is obviously a big part of celebrating.
Absolutely, we do all the meat. There isn't an animal that feels safe on Christmas Day near our house.
Love it.
Sorry to anyone with PETA, but yeah, all the meats and all the potatoes and all the vegetables and salads all get eaten.
Nice.
And then once we've done with that, it's pavlova, and then it's into the chocolate. So there is a great deal of food, and I'm thankful that we've got lots of children, because there's lots of excuses for chocolates and lollies and things like that too. So it's good.
There you go.
It sounds good, doesn't it, Julio? Because
It does.
you being a bit of a chef yourself, there'll be certainly some good food wherever you're going Christmas Day. What are you doing, mate?
Oh, I'm spending one with my sister. So, like Scotty, we're basically attacking the entire food group, from animal all the way through to vegetable to sweets to the whole lot. So, we're seeing if we devour half a nation, but we'll see where we go from there.
And Kelly, you're a long way from home. I suppose you're not driving home for Christmas, eh?
Yeah, well, I don't think I can catch a ship anymore over there, and flights are happening this year. But No, I can relate to Scott. Christmas is actually a really challenging time for me. Not having any family. Yeah, and just losing a loved one. Yeah, so I find actually Christmas a challenging time, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, being away from family and not having family around, Cal, it's a heavy time for some. And Scotty, you sort of alluded to that Christmas can be a tough time for people, and that's why you're doing the sorts of programs you're doing on Christmas Day.
Absolutely. We very early on saw that there were isolated people for all kinds of reasons, and COVID only made some of those reasons much worse. We've got people who are interstate refugees and people who are actual refugees. We've got people that are unable, like students that are just unable to get home to their families that are living overseas, and there are people who are homeless. There are others that are just unwelcome in their family environment because of family history and fights or awkwardness and other things that go on. There's others who feel socially isolated. There are others that are just unsafe. And we work a lot with victims of domestic violence that the kids don't understand that. They just want to be back with dad, and mum knows that that's not a safe place for them to be. And so she's trying to work out the best she can for Christmas and work that out. And then there are Muslim families, and all the shops are shut and the workplaces are closed, and what are they doing on Christmas Day? And there are people of all kinds of walks of life that are experiencing isolation and loneliness, whether it's through homelessness or whether it's through illness or whether it's because of age or whether they're a shut-in. They find themselves really lonely, and that only gets exacerbated on a day where it's assumed that everyone is having a great time, everyone's enjoying themselves, everyone is full of eggnog and meat and mince pies, and everyone is having a perfect family life. And when that's the assumption, you can then, when you don't have that, it can feel really isolating. And so you see all kinds of harmful things happen in people's life around the Christmas, New Year period, just simply because of loneliness and isolation. So if we can help do something about that at the Christmas period, I think it does. It lifts people's spirits. It reinforces what I think is the real meaning and purpose of Christmas, and it provides people with a reason to get up in the morning and look forward to a season that they might otherwise be dreading.
Yeah, it's just so good to have you on the Christmas show, Scotty.
Christmas as well.
Yeah, that's right. Get to play Father Christmas. Now, Scotty, we're going to hear a bit about your thoughts about what sort of things you think you're doing for people at Christmas, but what other people can do. And we've got a couple of people who have said hello, so we better say good day to them because we don't want them to feel lonely. So we've got Christian has said good evening. Hey, Christian, nice to have you here. And our old mate Milton has come in and said g'day. So g'day, Milton. Yep, that's the one. Yep. Thanks, Milton, for your comment, mate. He hasn't seen you for a while. So it's good. And don't forget, Scotty, a bit later on, we're going to have your Christmas top 5 tips from Scotty Hawkins. Looking forward to your top 5.
Amazing too.
Yeah,
they are
that's
worth
going to be
staying up for.
Look, there you go.
You should hit record on your tape deck and get them down. It is good gear.
It's going to be famous. And we want your comments, don't we, Julio? We want people's comments at Christmas. No one's wished you and I or Kelly a happy Christmas yet, but I'm sure we're going to get something. Share Christmas here. We want to say happy Christmas to you all. We want to wish you a Merry, Merry Christmas to you and your family. It's been a tough 2022. We probably said that at the end of 21 and the end of 20, but I think 2022 has its own challenges. We're looking forward to next year, but I suppose, Scotty, just to really digress a little bit, I mean, when you look at the news, there's a lot of stuff happening around the world. I'm just wondering what Christmas is going to be for those guys in Ukraine, those guys in different parts of the world that are really feeling, just they haven't got the peace that we've got. They haven't even got electricity that we've got.
I cannot imagine what that would be like. We talk about first world problems. I have low water pressure at the moment. We got a water leak somewhere, and it feels like it's wrecking my life because we can't have showers easily and things like that. The thought of what it must be like to live in a war zone and be concerned for your own children's lives. When you're a mum looking after kids in Ukraine and you're not sure where your relatives are, whether they're even alive or dead, that would be horrific. And certainly to be thinking of those in the war zone at this Christmas time is essential for us. And I'll talk about that as one of my tips. But to be considering people that are doing Christmas in a different circumstance to us this year, I think is an important reflection for us all. Last Christmas we had some Ukrainian visitors that were with us, and they'd come along to celebrate. They weren't able to get back. There were some COVID flight restrictions, and they couldn't get home, and so they had no family to celebrate with. They didn't know that in just a few weeks' time they weren't going to legally be ever allowed to go back, and that their country was going to be thrown into the midst of war, and that their visas were going to be transferred from holiday visiting visas through to emergency wartime visas, and just how their life was going to become turmoil as they began worrying about family that were left at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so true, Scott. When you open out, you speak about that. It makes our eyes open up and appreciate what we do have, regardless of the current circumstances. I always remember my mum saying, she sounds a bit like you, Scott. I was saying to Mark earlier, I said, I wish
She
Mum
got a
was
really
here
deep
now.
voice.
Well,
she doesn't sound like me that way.
but she always, her home was always welcome to anyone. And she always said, you never know what is going on behind closed doors. And so she always had 3 fridges and 3 freezers, literally, stock full of anything. And we would always welcome anyone to Christmas Day. And there would be, like you said, so much chocolate and everything. And everyone loved it too. And those are the Christmases that you remember the most, right?
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Okay.
Well done.
So tell us some of the things that you feel that you want to do for Christmas, people at Christmas. What are some of the things that have worked in the past? What are the things you're doing now that have worked to help people at Christmas?
Yeah, the community that I lead is called Urban Life, and they have a long history of doing all kinds of things. The last few years, we've kind of gotten into a bit of a rhythm where just before COVID and then particularly over COVID as well, we have done 2 special nights. This coming Friday, we have our hamper night, and we used to give away out of a food pantry. We would give away some special hampers around Christmas. That was fairly standard. But what we discovered was we'd give people a pre-packaged hamper for Christmas, but it could contain all kinds of things, and some of them they loved and some of them they didn't. And then you'd just see the public bins around Ringwood full of olives or whatever it was that they didn't particularly like. They'd just chuck it in the bin on their way past, and half of the stuff that was in the hamper wasn't being used as well as it could. So we learned our lesson. And so we've been running for many years now these hamper nights where when they come to the front door, they're going to be given a box, and if they're a family, they'll be given a full crate. And we've set up a full shopping experience inside our facility, our urban facility. And they'll get a personal shopper to walk around with them and help them choose the items. And there is everything that you can imagine. There is Christmas food and Christmas decorations and everything you need to make a fantastic Christmas party. There are toys for the kids, and we've had sponsorship from toy shops. We've had sponsorship from other people. We make sure that the food that we're given is not black and white brand, but stuff that's really tasty. We make sure that the presents that we give are all name brand presents, so that when the kids receive their gifts, they're not ashamed of their gift. And if a girl gets a Barbie, that she's not getting a Barbara from some other country that makes a cheap knockoff that on Boxing Day it's going to fall apart. But we've got soccer balls for the girls and for the boys. We've got footies and cricket gear. We've got boogie boards. We've got all kinds of books and things like that for presents, and we've got a mountain of chocolate. We've got and then we've got the staples, non-perishable foods and breakfast cereals and all the stuff that other people need. So they'll come in and they'll make up their own hamper, and they'll walk out laden with their hamper, and then we'll chuck a pizza on top as well, so they can have something to eat that night. There's a gift wrapping station for those people that maybe the kid's present is not for them, but for a nephew or a niece or something like that, and they can go and get that present gift wrapped and have their name on a little card so that they can give presents to their families as well. And that's sometimes a really good icebreaker for people who perhaps haven't felt all that welcome in family gatherings, to be able to turn up with a box full of Christmas food and presents for all the kids sometimes makes them a little bit more welcome in that family environment. And then we'll have over 100 families that will be a part of that and come and gather. And we've got aisles and aisles of stuff that we'll be giving away that night. And then our main event on Christmas Day, which we love every time. It's a full 3-course meal. We've had restaurants who have donated the different kind of roast meats, the veggies, the potatoes, the salads, and they've been super, super generous. People from the local community that are just amazing people. And then ordinary people who are doing cooking as well. We've had someone from a local YouTube channel, which is uber popular, and she live made a gingerbread. Well, she calls it a gingerbread house. This thing is a gingerbread mansion, and it's got a Christmas tree inside it on a turntable that turns around inside the gingerbread house. It's got lights baked into the gingerbread house, so it flickers and lights up. And it comes with its own mallet, and our final course is coffee and dessert, and everyone's going to have, as we smash into this gingerbread house, everyone can have gingerbread as well with their cake and coffee, and it's just going to be a fabulous sit-down meal. And we're really excited this time because the last couple of years we've had our sit-down meal. We've had to be at the mercy of the elements because we've had to have it outside due to COVID. But this time we're holding it indoors, so we'll have Christmas music, and some guy with a grey beard might be getting the job of Santa Claus, and the kids will have fun and play games, and the adults can eat food. And we've got volunteers that will be serving, we've got volunteers that will be cooking, and we've got a stack of volunteers who are just going to be sitting at the table, because what we didn't want to do, I mean, some people need food on Christmas Day, and that's fantastic. We'll make sure they get plenty of food. But more people need conversation on Christmas Day. Yeah. They need to know that they're not alone. They need to have somebody to celebrate with, to have fun with. They need someone to pop one of those dumb, silly little bonbon things and wear a crazy hat that is made out of tissue paper on your head. And you want to tell the silly jokes that come inside and laugh at silly things and have a bit of a crazy time together. So we've got people that are facilitating that on each of the tables and just making sure it's a really joyful time at Christmas. I mean,
so
we'll
Scott,
have
you said
some
this
of our
is
guests.
Urban Life.
Sorry.
So Scott, you said this is at Urban Life. Tell us a bit about Urban Life and how people can come to this and be involved as well.
Yeah, you can register by connecting with us at our website, urbanlife.org.au. There's a phone number there that you can call and connect with us. You do need to register for Christmas, and obviously we have to have final numbers and things like that for catering. And a few days out, that becomes a little bit of prayerful loaves and fishes and hoping that we've got enough. But yeah, it's it's for the people of our local community in the outer east of Melbourne, and we do this there's about 40 volunteers that get into it and really enjoy doing this stuff. There's hundreds of people that come along for it all, and these are people that are otherwise socially isolated or lonely or unwelcome or homeless.
It does sound like an amazing day, Scotty. It sounds like, because a lot of people want to give back on Christmas Day. So I'm not surprised you've got so many people wanting to volunteer and give and do something on Christmas Day. It's just fantastic. And a couple of hundred people there. That sounds like an amazing day of really reflecting
spread out over the 2 days. But yes, that's exactly right.
But it reflects the whole what Christmas is all about, isn't it?
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll have non-English speaking people that are there that might not otherwise understand what the Christmas stuff in Australia looks like. I know there's one couple and they come along and they set up their iPhone on the table so they can FaceTime their son in jail and celebrate that as a family kind of experience together, and that's wonderful for them. There are people who have been who've spent their life in foster care that have celebrated. There's one guy I'm thinking of in particular who celebrated 16 different Christmases with 16 different Christmas families, but didn't really consider any of them to be family. And when he comes along to our Christmas deal, this is the closest thing that he feels like he gets to family. There's an 80-year-old guy who turns up on his bike, and he's had some up and down experiences with his own health. He's had some up and down experiences with his own family, more downs than ups. And this is a place where he feels accepted and welcome. And there are people who are homeless. There are people who are struggling. There are people who are wondering if their children will have anything to celebrate this year, and I hope that they find a place that's safe and fun and joyful and something that can bring light to an otherwise perhaps sad day for them, and an acknowledgement that Christmas is not the Christmas card experience for everybody. And that's okay. But while we're here, we can still enjoy each other's company and enjoy this moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell us a bit about what made you develop Urban Life or be involved in such an organisation and a purpose. Tell us a bit about you.
Yeah, sure. I didn't start Urban Life. It's been going for 60 years, and
wow.
They're amazing. I'd been a church pastor for a long time, and then I was working for an overseas aid and development organisation that was caring for kids in the developing world, and I was having a great time. And I remember talking to somebody, and they said to me, we were sitting in this little cafe, and the cafe was also a church, and it was also a social enterprise, and it was also a place where single mums could feel safe, and they were doing some good counselling work and other stuff. And this guy said to me, do you think you'll ever go back into church ministry again? I said, are you kidding? Why would I do that? I'm having so much fun being able to care for kids in the developing world and making a difference globally. But I said, I'll tell you, if I was ever to be tempted to come back into local engagement with the community, it would be a place like this where we were sitting. I had no idea that Annie, who was the senior minister, she is amazing, she was thinking about finishing up, and a few years later, there I am, getting to take over from her, and it's been wonderful. I couldn't imagine being anywhere else. It's a place that cares deeply for the well-being of the community that we have been placed in, and cares deeply for each other as well. And we love caring for each other. We love caring for the community and our neighbours around us. And it's
good stuff, Scotty.
It's a joy to be a part of it.
Bree Sutherland likes what you're saying. She says, sounds like a welcoming environment for people, Scotty. So Thanks,
Very
Bree, for
much.
your
We
comment there.
absolutely aim for that to be the case. Thanks, Bree. That is a value of ours, and we would want anyone in any circumstance to feel loved and cared for, and especially welcome.
And Julio, we've got something to play, a little bit of a tune, is it?
Oh, a bit of a little video tip from our friend and video maker Brett Cardwell. So we put together a little Christmas thing. So here we go, and I hope you all enjoy it.
Thanks.
G'day guys, from Tony Cardi here. Hope you're having a fantastic carols. Hey kids, I have got my green hat on today. See this one? Oh yes. And it reminds me of someone at Christmas time. We think about who's green. And I'm not talking about the Incredible Hulk. It's this guy. Where would Christmas be without this guy? This fluffy guy here. Little cat's nose, some little whiskers maybe, and a grumpy expression. Now I know you guys don't get grumpy, but here we go. Grumpy, and here he is. Mr. Grinch. Have you met his cousin?
Christmas. With all its joy and its children and its laughing and its presents and its carols, I think the whole thing stinks. What, Max? Yes, I know it. I've got a Christmas hat. Don't you laugh, because I have got a little one for you. That's right. Ah, yes, much more handsome. How about we visit Whoville and ruin their Christmas? What? Yes, Max. To the Grinchmobile. Let's go.
Coming out of his crazy cave here, he would look down at Whoville, down in the distance, and they were celebrating Christmas and having a wonderful time. Hooray! And how would that make him feel? Of course, he got very grumpy, didn't he? And with help of his dog Max, he thought he was going to, that's it. Max, we're going to steal Christmas. All right. And little Max. My little dog is a girl, and she's a dachshund. And there we go, there's little Max. Can you see him there? Okay, Max is happy, not like his master. Anyway, we know the story well. Where would Christmas be without the Grinch? Okay, because we know that this story, it all came around and changed when this little girl shows up on Mr. Grinch's doorstep, and he's like, huh? And her name, of course, is Cindy Lou. And Cindy Lou was very kind, and she liked the Grinch, and eventually she invited the Grinch for Christmas dinner. Mr. Grinch, would you come to dinner at our house? Wow, he's never been asked that before, and we know that it was through kindness of this little girl that changed the Grinch. Changed him forever in this story, didn't it? And he said at the end, if you haven't seen the cartoon film, like me, I'm a big kid, I love cartoon movies. He says right at the end, it says, the Grinch raised his glass with a toast. To kindness and love is what we need most. That's what he said. And what happened to his heart, kids? What's happening here? Why my goodness. His heart, which was tiny and small, began to grow, didn't it? Yeah? And it says in this story that his heart grew twice as large, and suddenly he felt alive and he was happy. But it all happened because of Christmas and the kindness that was shown to him through this little girl, Cindy Lou. And we'll put some love hearts in the dog's eyes there. Max, oh, there you go. Very cute. Kindness and love is what we need most. Isn't that a fantastic message from the Grinch? Yeah? It's all about community. Kindness and love, isn't it, at Christmas time? I'm glad you guys live in the country. You don't have to experience, trying to get a car park at the shops. Yeah, trying to squeeze in, trying to get that Christmas crazy rush in those mad shops. And everyone's rushing around. And not everyone is happy about it. No, they're just going about their business, trying to do the thing, and it's all about the consumerism. And that's why I think what Mr. Grinch was angry about. He said, what is this Christmas all about? But he got to realise it wasn't about that. Even it wasn't about the presents. It was about their love and kindness of the community. Where would Christmas be without a good old story about the Grinch, yeah? Or Jolly Santa? But most of all, where would Christmas be without the very first Christmas, the greatest story ever told, that Jesus came as a little baby, yeah, to show God's kindness and love, because that's what we need most. And without him, there would be no Christmas. So there you have it. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. Maybe this Christmas Day, amongst everything that goes on, everything that we love about Christmas, everything that we just get through the day about Christmas and all the other stuff that comes with it, maybe just spend a little moment just saying a prayer of thanks to God for sending his son Jesus, that we could have kindness and love. God bless you guys. Thank you so much. Oh, and farewell from Toffee, or should I say Max. So see you guys. See you later. Yeah. You want to say see you too, do you? Okay. Well, this is Zorro. Oh, he's a bit more of a chubby boy. See you later. There they are. See you later. Sound like Uncle Al. See you later, kids. Hey. Till next time. See you guys. Merry Christmas. Yeah, Merry Christmas. Yeah.
Good bit of video work there, Julio, with the Merry Christmas to all our listeners. And Scotty, you can relate to that a bit about kindness and reaching out to people, really about the spirit of Christmas, isn't it?
That was amazing. That was a deep commitment to the video too, to get all that green paint on. It inspired me to go and put my hat on too.
He was, yeah.
One of my heroes, one of my all-time heroes is a guy called Henri Nouwen, or if he was Australian, he'd be called Henry Nouwen. But Henri says, we're all in search of a community that can offer us a sense of belonging. And I think that's what the Grinch was telling us.
I think it was.
I think Henry and the Grinch would be friends.
Yeah.
I reckon it would.
Yeah, it's a good story, and it's good to see you guys looking a bit Christmassy. So, Scotty, what's Christmas mean to you, mate? We're coming up to your top 5 soon. I'm looking forward to the top 5. I've got my pen out, and what's Christmas mean to you?
It's a couple of things. I mean, it's an origin story that is pretty important for me, and to the extent that people know that origin story is and to the extent that that means something for them, for me it's super meaningful, but perhaps not in the way that you might find on a Christmas card. I think that some of the nativity scenes have lost any sense of what the actual origin of it was all about. And for me, as I every year go back and re-examine what the real purpose of Christmas was, this year I've really enjoyed just imagining who it is that are the central players of this story, and what and why, if we're talking about God, why God might have placed these people, of all people, in the center of the story. Because there's no particularly powerful people. Well, there's one, Herod, and he's a bad guy. He's not the good guy. And there's only brief mention to the Roman Caesars and things like that are existing. They're hardly even mentioned in the Christmas story at all. But the people that we get mentioned that are right in the center of the story, we've got an unwed woman who gets to carry God in her own womb. We get pagans from the East who are the only ones that recognize that he's God, and they're people that that the local religious people would have thought were evil. They are people that, the Bible calls them magi, and that's where we get the word magic from. They're from a totally different religion, and it's people from another religion who recognize this baby as being God. We get to see field workers who were untrusted, that were unreliable, daily paid workers whose testimony wasn't even considered reliable in court. They're the people who God speaks to and says, "Hey, shepherds, I want you to go and be the witnesses to this birth." We get the marginalized people of Bethlehem and Jerusalem as the witnesses to all of this. And it seems like God deliberately chooses the kind of people that we like to hang out with at Christmas time as the ones that were supposed to be there on the first day. There's the story of a child who is in need, and a family who's in need, and they receive support from wealthy people. There's the story of a young girl who says, "I have immaculately conceived," and she, of course, is not believed. And how many times do we hear stories of women who are not believed when they try and tell their story? We're hearing it's a story of a family who find themselves as refugees trying to escape an evil dictator who is wanting to kill the babies of the local area. It is God identifying with the marginalized, and he is not identifying himself with the powerful. And yet I think sometimes we try and make it the reverse. And I love that story. For me, if I was to boil down the key theme of Christmas, in Catholic world, it's called Mary's Magnificat. It's a speech that Mary gives when she learns that she's going to be the person that gives birth to the Saviour of the world. And it is powerful. It is not a wishy-washy statement. This young girl gives a statement which I think makes Christmas for me. I can read it out for you if you like, or I can show people where they can read it for themselves, whichever you'd prefer.
Yeah, it would be good to hear it, I think, Scotty.
Yeah.
Sure.
And Scott, I just want to say, I think that's such a great analogy as well that you're speaking about, because you speak about truth and about, everyone should being able to share their story and their place in the world. And I think Christmas is a good time to reflect and to be really thinking about that. We may not be the most important. We may not be those leaders, or we may be facing those circumstances and challenges, but that's what it was back then. This is what it's like now as well.
Yeah. Well, when words like meek and mild get used, they should never be used about Mary. And when we sing a carol that says, "Mary, did you know?" Let me tell you, Mary knew more than what we would understand. She was a legend in my mind. And this young girl says, "My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices with God my Saviour. For God has looked with favour on the lowliness of the Almighty servant. Surely from now on, all generations will call me blessed. For the Mighty One has done great things for me, and holy is God's name. God's mercy is for those who fear God. From generation to generation, God has shown strength with God's arm. God has scattered the proud and the thoughts of their hearts. God has brought down the powerful from their thrones. God has lifted up the lowly. God has filled the hungry with good things. He sent away the rich empty. God has helped his servant Israel, and he remembers his mercy." And, there's a young teenage girl who's about to give birth for the first time in an environment where her family and friends are not supportive, and she's scared and she's worried. And she says that God cares about the marginalized, the poor, the hungry, the lonely, and he is not on the side of the powerful and the aggressive. And I think that is an amazing story of Christmas, and one for us to think about how we spend our time celebrating, when that's how Mary spent her time celebrating and what she was thinking about at that first Christmas.
And that's
Thanks,
such
Scotty.
a powerful testament, Scott.
Fantastic,
really
mate.
strong.
We are getting to the end of the show, unfortunately. It's been a great Christmas show. Like Christian, wanting to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. We certainly want to do that here. Wishing you a Merry Christmas from all of us at 98.9 Northwest FM and Community Heart Radio. Definitely want to wish you a Merry Christmas. We're going to be moving into our top 5 now. Scotty's top 5 Christmas tips. I can't wait to hear them, Scotty. Let's get number 1,
I'm sure
mate.
all of Melbourne can't wait to hear them.
Right, these are going to be famous, Julio.
Yep.
I used to love watching late night television when David Letterman was on, and he would do his top 10. And this is I get to do half of David Letterman. He's now got a beard that's even more magnificent than mine.
Yes.
My top 5 things to do this Christmas. I think, first of all, find a moment to reflect. In the busyness of everything that Christmas can be, with shopping, with getting the house ready if there are guests coming over, with the stress around family, with if you have children involved, then it's all go. There's working up until a certain time. There's school up until a certain time. There's getting things ready. There's getting the lawns mowed. There's everything that has to happen. Find a moment when you can reflect. It doesn't even have to be a long moment, but just find a moment where you can stop and slow down and find a place of peace and just reflect on what this Christmas means for you. I'm not here to tell you what it needs to be for you, but take some time to work out what Christmas means for you. That's number 1 for me.
All right, number 1.
Number
fantastic.
2,
Love it.
consider someone this Christmas in a different circumstance, who's in a different circumstance to you, whoever that might be, whatever that might look like for you, whoever has come across your path, whoever has flicked across your television screen. Sometimes it's easy for us to get caught in our own bubble, and we think that everyone is having the same kind of Christmas that we're going to have. My challenge for you in my top 5 is to consider somebody else in a different circumstance this Christmas, and just think about what Christmas might be like for them. So it's not all about you, it's about us. And the best way of thinking about us is to think about somebody who is having a different kind of Christmas to you. How much time have I got? That's number 2.
You're doing well, mate. You're doing well. We've got 2. We're up to number 3.
Number 3, stay safe. And I mean that on all kinds of levels. I mean that at a drinking and driving level, please stay safe. It's crazy out there. But I mean that in a relational heart level too. There are people who may well be going into family environments where you don't feel safe. There are people who might be at work celebrations and end of year parties and other places. Stay safe. And if you need to make an exit, make an exit. If you need to create space, then create space. If you need to take a friend, take a friend. Be safe. Be with people that you can be safe with. And whether it's physical safety or emotional safety or whatever you need in this place to stay safe. Because Christmas can be a bit of an artificial environment for some people, and they're forced into experiences, really pressured into experiences that you don't usually do at any other time in the year. So my number 3 is stay safe. Number 4.
You're doing well, Scotty. You're doing very well.
I'm doing brilliantly. This is amazing, but wait till you hear number 4.
Yep.
Number 4 is the highlight. Find some joy. Find some joy. Christmas is not just meant to be endured. It's not just, I can't wait for this to be over so that we can finally get some rest. It's not meant to be.
Have you got an address for us, Scotty? Have you got an address?
Find some joy. Find something that brings you joy. Eat a new food. Taste a new drink. Do something. Enjoy something. Go for a walk. I know Mark's an incredible walker. Go for a walk along a new path. Go and go for a swim in the river. Do something you haven't done. Find a moment this Christmas to have some joy. Talk to somebody that you might not normally talk to. Do something a little bit different. try a coffee without sugar or something. I don't know what it is for you, but do something that is going to bring some joy to this moment. Spend some time with a kid. I don't know what it's going to look like for you, but do something this Christmas that brings joy, because again, it is possible to just wish for the Christmas time to be over so that you can be done with the stress of it all. I say look for an opportunity to find some joy. And then I'm up to number 5. Number 5 for me is a bit of a double whammy. It's finding a balance in two things that might be opposite, but I don't think they're opposite. Number 5 for me is be generous, but don't overspend. So be generous. Be generous with everything you've got. Be generous with your money. Be generous with your gifts, but be generous with your love. Be generous with your conversations. Be generous with your time. Be generous with who you share your Christmas with. Be generous with other people. Be generous. Be generous with everything you've got, not just financially, although be generous financially. Actually do a budget this Christmas and think about, if I'm going to spend this much on me and I'm going to spend this much on those that I care about, what have I got? What would I like to be able to spend on people who are going to not have the same Christmas experience that I do? Be generous with your money, but also be generous with your time and be generous with your conversation. Be generous with who you have your conversations with. Be generous, but don't overspend. Christmas is not intended to be a time of going into debt. If we go back to that original origin story, the whole point of it is to bring life and not to put a burden on us, not to put the weight of debt on us for the next year, not to... Sometimes we make it so much about me that I have to give the perfect gift, because if I don't do that, I might not be a good person. No, don't do that. Don't put yourself into debt this Christmas just to say something about who you are. So be generous, but don't overspend. That's 5.
You know what, Scott? I think those 5 tips are something that each of us may need to be thinking about going into 2023. Thinking, how can we be generous? And thinking about, what do we value? What is important?
Well, he did say, Kelly, they're the best 5 tips of all time.
Ever.
And ever. So I think, Julio, can you run us through the 5 tips from Scotty as we come to a close on Community Heart Radio tonight? It's the Christmas show. The Reverend Scott Hawkins. It's just fantastic.
It's not very often I get called Reverend, but thank you very much.
It's
the most honourable Mark Watt.
Julio, do you want to run us through the top 5? You're on mute, Julio. We want to hear these top 5, the best ever top 5.
I want to hear and see them as well.
All right, I'll try to do them justice here, Scotty. Here we go. Number 1, find a moment to reflect. Number 2, consider someone in a different circumstance. Number 3, stay safe in a physical, emotional, and environmental way. Number 4, find some joy. And number 5, nice and special, across the screen, be generous with everything you have.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Love it, Scotty. Fantastic, mate. It's been great having you on Community Heart Radio. It's only a few days to Christmas. It's quite a busy week for many, and it's a lonely week for some. Kelly, what's your thoughts as we come into Christmas, as we wind up the show?
Well, first of all, I just want to say to all of you to have a wonderful Christmas. I know you will be. And I know I'm going to be cooking up a lot of Kiwi and Pacific food. So I'm very much looking forward to sharing that with everyone here in Melbourne. But I think now 2022 has been an interesting year, but I think 2023, finding that joy and that time for reflection is going to be really important for so many of us.
Thanks, Kel.
Sure.
What about you, Julio? What's your thoughts as you come into Christmas?
I'm just wishing everybody will be safe and have a really good Christmas. Enjoy their families, their loved ones, and like Scotty said, share yourself out, not just in gifts, but in an emotional and spiritual way. And I think that's the most important thing you can do.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
William. And Scotty, your last reflection, mate. I know you've got your top 5, so you can't beat them. But any last
All I
comment?
want for Christmas is some water pressure in my house. I
Careful,
want to take a
careful.
shower.
You can come into my place, Scotty, and have a shower if you want, mate.
Yeah, well,
Look, it's been great. Thank you for your support of Community Heart this year. We've had a great
Thanks,
year.
everyone.
It's been a full-on year. We've had all sorts of shows, including the dating
We
show,
have.
finance shows. We had all sorts of stuff. I think we had about 10 people get married because of the show. So it's been quite incredible. But we're going to have a break. We're going to be back in February, and we're going to have a break over January. We're going on 4 weeks leave, and then we'll come back better and bigger than ever in 2023. Thanks, Christian, for saying goodnight to us. Appreciate you listening tonight, mate. And all our other regular listeners, thank you for joining us and supporting us this year. Have a great Merry Christmas and all the best for 2023 from all of us at Community Heart Radio 98.9 Northwest FM.
thanks, everyone. And if you miss
Bye-bye.
us, watch any of our shows live and give us a like and send us any messages if you want for us to cover any topics next year as well.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Tune in every Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. or watch us on YouTube, Facebook, and follow us on LinkedIn and other social media.